Hi everyone, it's Nicky here. How are you? I know you can't answer me because you're all muted. We'll get started in about 5 minutes. We'll just wait for some people to arrive and I'll get started. So just carry on doing what you're doing. All right, so we've got a couple of minutes to go before we start. Hopefully we've got some more people coming in. Okay, well, we'll make a start on the housekeeping side of things anyway. So welcome everybody. Thank you for joining the claims overview webinar. I hope that you get something out of this. It is just an overview on claims. So if you've done claims already, then you'll probably just have a quick look at, see what's going on, see if there's anything new, but there will be further webinars coming based on specifics of claims. So there's a lot of variances to a claim, and we'll be running webinars on each and every one of those variances, so we can break it right down to all the different sort of claims that we get over a time frame. So just a couple of housekeeping things at the minute. Everyone is going to be muted for the duration of the webinar. If you've got any questions, please feel free to ask your questions, as I've got in the screen here down the bottom, question for staff. I do have staff monitoring, so they will be able to answer questions as they arise. If not, we'll be dealing with them at the end of the session, and if we don't get through all the questions, I will be emailing answers to people along with a copy of the webinar. Each person that's registered for the webinar is going to get an email sent out with a link that will give them a copy of the webinar, and there will be some documentation and links to the help desk as well for your reference. Now, what else have I got? That's about it for the housekeeping. So I think we'll get started now, and list of the things that we're going to be running through today. What is a claim? What screens are we going to be using? Varying statuses of claims. What do we need to know before we start a claim? The raising of a claim, which is going to be the claims screen. A few tips and a little flow chart which will be added to the email as it comes out as well. So to start off with, using claims, what do we use? How do we manage them? What are they? At the end of the day, they are products that are faulty or damaged. Supplier or staff member has ordered the wrong colour, or the supplier sent the wrong colour, and product returns. So in the case of ordering too much product, or customers change their mind and perhaps they've ordered so many tiles and then they've changed their mind and gone for vinyl planking in an area where they were originally going to tile. They want to send some of the tiles back, so that's also going to be a claim. Screens that we're going to use, well, we're going to use the customer order screen. We're going to use the claims screen, and essentially if you use Schedule Pro, we will use a Schedule Pro screen as well, as we can book in orders, claims for uplift and relay, so that is in with all your crew along with all your customer orders. Okay, so we're not going to look at them in depth today, but they are screens that we will use when we go through the claims processes. Varying order statuses. We can have anything from an open order where we might have to put a replacement on the customer order. We could have a job costed order. We could have a job costed order that's in a closed month or open month. We could also, if you're a brand new client, we could also have a order that's in a previous system. So there are some of the variances of a claim. Other variances will be the likes of the product being returned versus being thrown away, and things like that, which I discussed a little bit earlier. Information that we need to know before we raise a claim. So quite often when I'm training people, they don't know what's going on with the claim. Quite often it's an admin person that's dealing with the claim, and it's the salesperson that actually has raised the alarm and said, right, this product's faulty, it needs to go away, we need to get a replacement for it. And so the admin person's left sitting there going, well, I need to raise a claim, but what do I know about this claim? So you need to actually get some information first from the person who's essentially in charge of the claim, whether it be the salesperson, the warehouse person, or whoever. So generally when I'm talking to people, the things that I suggest to them is find out what's happened, get a story. So what happened to the product? Has it been returned to the supplier? Is there a replacement purchase order that's been done if there's a replacement being sent out? What status is the order in? Do you have invoices? You may have one, you may have two, depending on whether the replacements come through. Do you have a credit note? Because some people aren't even aware that a claim needs to be raised until the credit note arrives. So we just need to know what's going on. And then once we know the story, then we can start putting the pieces together and we can help set up the claim. So there's various, as I said, various screens that we're going to be using. So when we go to raise a claim, we essentially will be going into the claim screen. Now there's two ways of getting in there. From the customer order screen, you can go file claims, or you can simply click on your F5 on your keyboard. So we're going to go and have a look at some of these highlighted areas that are on this screenshot here. And we're also going to actually get to the point where we raise a claim, and I'll go through and give you a heads up on what all the bits and pieces in that screen are all about, because that's also understanding how the screen works. Okay, so in here I've got my customer order screen. So I'm going to click on my F5, and that brings up my blank customer claims screen. Okay, now I've actually got a window open with my claim that I'm working on, so I'll go through to that. Now you might see that I've got a percentage mark in there. That helps me find all of my claims if I want to be lazy. Okay, or if I don't know any of the details of the claim that I'm actually looking for, then I'll put that percentage mark in there. Alternatively, of course, I'll enter in my customer order or my claim or the name of the person that I'm actually looking for. Okay, so in this example that I've already got set up to show you, I've got my claim number here that has come through from raising the claim. Got my claim date, which defaults to today's date. So if you are at the point where you're raising the claim based on a credit note arriving, more than likely you're going to have to change that date. Okay. If you've got your install date or measure date as a required field, you will unfortunately have to fill them out on the claim as well. Okay. Now you've got your claim for, which is your customer, and then you've got your claim against, which is your vendor / supplier. Okay. You'll select the salesperson, and that can either be a house. You can set a sales rep up as a house or claim or something like that, or you'll simply use the salesperson from the original order. Now, one of the big things I will reiterate as we go through is we need to make this taxable. It defaults through as exempt, but for over this side of the world, it's a taxable process. So we must change that to taxable as we come through. Now, a couple of other wee things if I save out of this order here. We've got all the claim numbers here. Okay, so they do go in sequential order as a computer generated number. Okay, now I'm just going to pop through into the customer order screen. Beg your pardon, I'm just going to click on green plus to add my claim, which is in turn going to take me directly to the customer order screen. Now, it looks very, very similar. In fact, the only thing that's different is claims versus customer orders. So you've got to be very careful that you're not interrupted in this process so you know which screen that you're on, okay? So in here, I'm going to either put in my customer number, if I know it, or my customer name, okay, or anything that Smart Search will search for me to find that customer order. Now, I know this is the one that I'm looking for because I've already raised a claim and my customer order is in red. I can also see that I've got a claim raised and what my claim number is on the right-hand side of that screen. Says my claims over here with my claim number showing down here. Okay, so I'm going to come out of that one because I know I've already got it raised. And of course, I'm going to come back in here. So the claim 4 is the client that I've just pulled through. And then in the claim against, when you're doing your new claim, it will be pink and you'll click on your vendor list and you'll pull through your supplier. In this case, I've pulled through Cavalier Bremworth, so it gets put into the claim against, okay? As I said, the sales rep is the one that you'll choose either from the original customer order or you'll have one set up automatically. Now, the product here, or your customer lines, claim lines, I should say, are based on pulling it through from inventory. Okay, so this one here is a return. I've got 5 meters that's been damaged and I'm returning that to the supplier. So I pulled that through initially from the customer order. I freed it up in the customer order, which put it back into inventory as available for me, which meant that when I came into insert and inventory, I went and looked for my product, which was Accolade, and it was available, so I pulled it through, much like you would in the customer order, okay? Now, as far as the price goes and what you're going to put in there, we only ever use the cost plus GST. So sometimes it's easier just to put that amount in as the line total. Other times, if you know or if you're using your credit note, then you might have the unit price in there, which you can put in. So whatever you feel more comfortable with. But bearing in mind that this total is not going to be your retail total and it is not going to be your cost. It is cost plus GST, okay? And then you'll see that it's come through as reserved. So if we went and had a look in the inventory module, then you'll see that that is reserved. And if you go and have a look in your history, then it will show your claim number CL9000002 as being reserved, okay? So we're going to leave that on reserved at the moment because we're not doing anything else with it. But if we were to process the the supplier credit note, then as long as we've got nothing else to put in here, for example, restocking fee or uplift and relay, then we'll go and save and we will job cost our claim before we process our payment. Now that's a very important note, okay? So we must job cost our claim before we go and process the payments slash credit note. Now I'm going to go through those in far more detail, as I said before, in the other webinars. This is just a quick overview on what screen you're going to see, in particular the claim screen, and what a claim is more than anything else today. Okay, so getting back to the tips, what are we going to be looking out for? We're going to remember that F5 will raise our claim screen, and when we're actually in the claim, we need to change from exempt to taxable. We need to be very mindful of the claim date. Going back to the customer order screen, if your customer order is in red, then you know that there is a claim against it. If you need to know what the claim number is, you can pop down to the bottom right-hand corner and pick up your claim number from in here, okay? And of course, as I said just a moment ago, we must job cost our claim before we process the payment. Now, with this information at hand, the next thing that we're going to look at before we finish up, because it is only a quick webinar, is the flow chart of the claim. So, claim is entered. The claim against is the person or the company issuing the credit. The claim for is the original customer order that experienced the problem. Enter a line for material and or services. So that's your restocking fees, your install and relay, uplift and relay, I should say. Okay, is the material in stock? Yes, pull it through from inventory and cut your material. If it's not, you may need to generate a purchase order, and then obviously you'll need to go through your receive costing process, and then at that stage they're both at the job cost, the claim order, and then settle the claim with the credit note. So there we have it, folks. It's a very quick introduction to an overview. And again, I reiterate, we'll be having in-depth webinars about the variances of a claim and how we do a particular claim for each particular variance. So we're just going to open it up to questions now. If you've got any questions, then feel free to type away in your question field. I'm just going to have a wee look at the list that we've got at the moment. Why would you lock the sales rep down? That's a good question. I'm actually going to go away and have a look at that one because from memory, we want to stop sales reps being swapped over, but I will verify that one. Let me just have a wee look here. Okay. Why would we choose taxable over exempt? Over this side of the world, we have GST on even our credit notes. So therefore we have to make the status taxable. Over in the States where it's set up and the default is set to exempt, they have a completely different process. So we need to be mindful, of course, that we are taking it from the States. So we need to make it the way we use it over here. Okay, everybody, no more questions. That was short and sweet. Hope to see you in the next webinar for claims when we go through the process of actual claims. Thank you for joining, and we'll see you next time.